When I was 8 years old, my sister, my 25-year-old sister, actually died in a car accident. She got hit by a drunk driver. And it put me in a type of existential crisis and shook me to my core. Life as I knew it completely changed because I was very close with her, and just seeing everyone in my family, the way that it completely changed their life.
And you were 8 years old.
I was 8 years old. Yeah, which is...
8 years old is the time that cognitively you're starting to become more conscious.
Yeah,
You're starting to become more aware of yourself and your self-identity, whereas like 0 to 7 is that time where...
You're building your subconscious mind, or your sponge. You're taking in information from the way you perceive other people respond. You then learn to respond that way. The way other people communicate, you respond that way. But then 8 on, you start to develop a sense of individuality and
autonomy.
Exactly. And so at the ripe age of 8, as I was starting to develop this individuality and this sense of self, I saw just how fragile life was, and I was faced with the reality of death. And it impelled me to want to study philosophy and theology more, like actually understand like what is life, what is death, what's the purpose, why am I even here, what exactly am I, what are people around me, what is this world that I'm living in, etc. But because I have reading disabilities, I always struggled in school, and I lived in a small town, so I didn't have a lot of access to different philosophical books and texts and whatnot. So I had all these questions, but whenever I had opportunities to ask them, many people I asked, they would give me answers like, oh, you asked too many questions, or, oh, you should just have faith, don't worry about it. Or they would answer my questions in a way that was super unsatisfying. And I always felt like a yearning, like, I don't want to just have faith. I don't want to just take it on you just because you say it, I accept it, or whatever the case might be. Or some people would say, oh, you don't need to know that. It's like, why?
Right.
For sure, the knowledge is there. I want to know it. And so when I was 16 years old, my father actually offered me $100 to read the Bhagavad Gita, a specific version of it called the Bhagavad Gita as it is. For those of you not familiar, the Bhagavad Gita is one of the oldest written literatures we have today on the philosophy of self, divinity, and the world around us. And what it really does is put into perspective who we are as individuals, what is our relationship to spirit, divinity, etc., and then what is our relationship to other people of this world, and then the matter that we live in. And it started to answer not only questions I had, but questions I didn't even know I had over time. And so as I studied this book, I actually loved it so much I didn't even take the $100 because my life was so positively changed from the content of the Bhagavad Gita. And this was the first book I ever read cover to cover. First book of my life that I didn't put down after 2 pages because my brain was breaking. But this one, my brain was breaking in a good way. It was everything I was exploring and studying was just so expansive. That's the word. Yeah. Jinx Yomi Olympika. So once I read the Bhagavad Gita, at that point I realized I don't know a lot. I now know I don't know a lot. And I started to go more towards Eastern spirituality. And I would actually drive 3 to 4 hours to different temples and different ashrams and places that were teaching principles from the Bhagavad Gita. And as I started to meet practitioners, especially monks, I was like, who are these people? You know, shaven head, robes, but there was a sense of peace and a contentment. They didn't have anything. They had robes. They slept on the floor. I often call it's like a spiritual frat house. Why are they so happy? And how are they so knowledgeable? Why is it that every question I asked them, it's not like they had to go, let me think about it, I'll get back. They were like, I've got it right here. And let me actually pull up a verse that's thousands of years old that explains this exact same question someone else asked and delineate various types of answers. And my mind was so blown. So I wanted to become a monk, but I was 17 and therefore they wouldn't let me join because I wasn't an adult yet. And so I was going to college at this time. I was in my 3rd semester of college and that was not for me. Nothing against college. Some people enjoy it.
I went to college.
Yes. I'm very happy you did.
I graduated college. Nothing against college.
Nothing against college. It was very much not my calling. Let's put it that way. I was going for occupational therapy and just studying things that, anyway. On my 18th birthday, I dropped out and shaved my head and became a monk and moved into the monastery and did that for about 5 years.